I will call the St. Paul City Council to order. Roll call.
Prince.
Here.
Tolbert.
Here.
Yang.
Here.
Ballinger.
Here.
Jalali.
Here.
Naker.
Here.
Council President Brenmoen.
Here. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance if you would like. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consent agenda items 1 through 15 are before you for your consideration.
Is there anything on consent that should be taken separately this afternoon? Seeing none, Mr. Ballinger moves consent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 opposed, or rough start. 7 in favor, none opposed. The resolution, or the consent agenda is adopted. The following items are before you for discussion. Item number 16, Resolution 22-1499, approving the appointment of Drew Nelson as Interim Director of the Office of Technology and Communication, effective August 27th, 2022.
All right, we have Drew Nelson, I believe, in the house. He will be sworn in today. Welcome, Drew. I should by now know the sequence of this, but I think what we should do is vote before he gets sworn in, just to make sure that it's official before it's official. And then, Mr. Nelson, if there's anything that you'd like to say after you're sworn in, you can, but you don't have to. Okay, great. So I will take a motion from Ms. Naker for approval. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The resolution is adopted.
And then, Drew, if you could just come up, we'll swear you in, make it official. And Bryn House is acting under the authority of the city clerk.
All right, repeat after me. I, Drew Nelson,
I, Drew Nelson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
to discharge faithfully
to discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolving upon me
as the interim director of the Office of Technology and Communications
as the interim director of the Office of Technology and Communications
of the city of St. Paul,
of the city of St. Paul,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Live long and prosper. All right.
Item number
Yep.
Item number 17 is now before you for discussion. Resolution 22-1501, approving the appointment of Barb Sporline as Interim Director of St. Paul Public Libraries, effective September 17th, 2022.
So moved by Library Board Chair Naker. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The resolution is adopted.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, repeat after me. I, Barb Sporline,
I, Barb Sporline,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Minnesota,
and the state of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolving upon me
as the interim director of the St. Paul Public Libraries
as the interim director of the St. Paul Public Libraries
of the city of St. Paul,
of the city of St. Paul,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you.
Councilmember Naker moves suspension of the rules. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
Before you now is Resolution 22-1549, establishing the St. Paul City Council Early Learning Legislative Advisory Committee.
Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. This is an exciting moment when we are appointing our Early Learning Legislative Advisory Committee, which is the next step in our city's consideration of what it would look like to have a locally governed early learning program. I am really excited about the group of folks that have applied and been appointed to be part of this body. And I really especially want to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Yang, Councilmember Jalali, for your partnership on this work, for being in advance, for being on the committee together, looking forward to that work, and for your help with this appointment process. So I move approval.
All right, there's a motion for approval. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Yang?
Thank you. I just want to add that the people who are a part of this are such amazing leaders in our community. It's a very diverse group, and I can just tell from the work that they did, the applications that were put in, that they're really passionate about early childhood education. And so I feel like we're in really good hands, and really excited to bring back information about what we all come up with during our time together on the committee.
Any other discussion? Ms. Jalali?
I'm just grateful in advance to the community members willing to serve and give their time and thoughtfulness to these important questions, and wanted to explicitly say that myself. So thank you, and will also be supported.
Ms. Prince?
And I will add to that, thank you, Councilmember Naker, for your leadership on this. And I just want to say the caliber of people who reached out to us to participate was just amazing. So we have a great group, and I am a very strong supporter of our legislative advisory committee process, which gives us a chance to really dig into issues and know what we're talking about. So it's very good. Best wishes.
Great. I'm going to be voting in support of this as well today, and I'm eager to watch the group and their work unfold over time. I know I've talked to Councilmember Naker and colleagues about letting the group lead the process. I know that as when council members are at the table, sometimes it changes the dynamics, and so I think there's an awareness of listening to the experts and letting them help drive the conversation. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in this area, and a lot of work that is being done in this area, and figuring out where we best fit is important. So I thank you for your leadership, and thanks for the participation from other council members as well. Any other comments? Seeing none, there is a motion from Ms. Naker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The resolution is adopted. Following items are before you as public hearings. Item number 18, resolution public hearing 22-271, adopting the 2023 operating plan for the Downtown Improvement District and imposing a service charge pursuant to Minnesota statutes, Chapter 428A.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Naker moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted.
Before we move on, Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. Sorry for speaking out of order here, but I didn't want to let this item go by without just really applauding Joe Spencer, Emma Burns, and the entire team at the Downtown Alliance, which works in partnership with the Downtown Improvement District. There has been phenomenal progress made to keep downtown more safe, more green, more user-friendly, more welcoming, and it's entirely due to the Downtown Improvement District. And I also want to call out the generosity and the civic spirit-mindedness of the property owners who come together every year to assess themselves at a higher rate so that all of these improvements downtown can be made. Without them, this just wouldn't be possible. So I want to really thank them for their generosity and for wanting to really give whatever they can to be part of this community and making it better.
I also appreciate that there was a party this week at Rice Park to celebrate the Downtown Improvement District ambassadors. I think that's great. I always say we spend so much time solving problems and criticizing and critiquing our work, and not enough time celebrating our accomplishments. And I've been in businesses where the ambassadors have walked in to just check and see how things are going, and it does make a big difference. And so taking a moment to celebrate them and their contribution, as well as the work and the financing and funding that's behind it, is great. So I thought that was wonderful, and I do appreciate the social media presence of the Downtown Alliance as well. It puts a smile on my face all the time. Thanks.
Item number 19 is before you now. Resolution public hearing 22-248. The final order approving the 7th Place Mall operation and maintenance for 2021.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Naker moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 20, resolution public hearing 22-251, amending the financing and spending plans in the Department of Public Works capital budget to transfer $600,000 of street reconstruction bond funding to the 2019 Lexington project.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Mr. Bellinger moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 21, resolution public hearing 22-254, approving the request of District Energy St. Paul Incorporated to amend district cooling rates for fiscal year 2023.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Mr. Tolbert moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 22 is now before you. Resolution public hearing 22-255, approving the request of District Energy St. Paul Incorporated to amend district heating rates for fiscal year 2023.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Prince moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 23 is now before you. Resolution public hearing 22-281, approving the application of Laura Lefebvre for a sound level variance in order to present live amplified sound on October 8th, 2022 at 1227 Montreal Avenue.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Mr. Tolbert moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 24 is before you now. Resolution public hearing 22-282, amending the city's operating budget to reflect the final sale details resulting from the issuance of the Sewer Revenue Bonds Series 2022B.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Yang moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 25 is before you now. Resolution public hearing 22-286, approving the application of Sean Deniston for a sound level variance in order to present amplified sound on September 30th, 2022 at Mears Park, 221 5th Street East.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Naker moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 26 is now before you. Resolution public hearing 22-287, approving the application of the University of St. Thomas for a sound level variance in order to present live amplified sound on October 15th, 2022 at 2115 Summit Avenue, near Summit Avenue and Cretin Avenue.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Jalali moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 27 is before you now. Resolution public hearing 22-289, amending the 2022 special fund budget and adding an activity for an amended Making a Difference grant from the state of Minnesota Department of Health in the amount of $90,000.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. I just wanted to note, I think we had made this request earlier for information regarding whether or not there would be tails to grants like this to be included in a match, to be included in the title of the item so that we don't have to dig through the resolution to find that out. I don't see that in this title. I'm sure this isn't the only grant that's come through like that, but I just want to remind departments to please include that information so we can really be scrutinizing all of the grants that we want to have and we want to get, but we want to understand the implications for the future too.
And noted, and that's an important reminder, and I'm not sure in this, in item 27, if it's amending it to add a grant or to request a grant. And it was our requirement if we're requesting. But in any case, we have seen, that is something that helps us understand whether or not that there's an obligation on the city's part. So appreciate the reminder. So there was a public hearing. There wasn't anyone here to speak to this item. Ms. Naker moves to close the public hearing with the reminder and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 28 is before you now. Resolution Public Hearing 22-290. Accepting grant funds, authorizing execution of a grant agreement with indemnity obligations and other documents related thereto, and amending the operating budget with respect to the city's sponsorship of a Metropolitan Council Livable Communities Demonstration Account Pre-Development Grant for the benefit of the African American Community Development Center, LLC project.
All right, and this one is also accepting grant funds. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Seeing none, Ms. Yang moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. Item number 29 is now before you. Resolution Public Hearing 22-297, approving the adoption of a spending plan under Minnesota statutes, section 469.176, subdivision 4N.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Yes. As you walk up, I believe you know the drill here, but if you can introduce yourself, let us know where you live, keep your testimony to 2 minutes or less, and when you're done, please sign in on one of the clipboards on either side of you. Welcome.
Yes. Chair, Council, my name is David Brooks. I'm offering testimony on the TIF spending plan before you under Resolution RES PH 22-297. I'm a St. Paul business owner and developer. I have developed properties in St. Paul for over 50 years and have spent millions of dollars to improve the downtown and attract business and residents to our community. I'm concerned that the spending plan authorized the use of TIF money for the purpose that would harm our business and residents. This plan should not authorize spending any part of the $28 million to assist the development of unregulated, unpermitted private facilities serving unsheltered population in the city. Spending money on more shelters when facilities like the $100 million Dorothy Day facility are underutilized will not advance the purpose that TIF money is meant to support. It will result in a harm to the neighborhood, the business, and the residents, and drive them away instead of attracting commercial development. This is exactly what happened on West 7th during the pandemic, and I should not be supportive of any else by our tax dollar, any place else by our tax dollar. I'm also concerned with the lack of details in the spending plan. St. Paul citizens and taxpayers have no concrete idea where any of the $28 million will be gone or what it will be used for. We have a right to know which project will receive this support and what our tax dollars will be used for. Once this plan is approved, the $28 million is already out the door to be used anywhere for any of the board purpose outlined in the plan. This plan...
And Mr. Brooks, if you could summarize, your timer is up. If you had a final comment, that's fine.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
I want to make clear that this hearing on the 28 million to replace the right of a hearing for the 1.4 million on the listening house. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Be sure to sign in. Welcome.
Hi, this is not my forte at all, so apologize if I seem nervous. I scribbled some notes. I hope I can read my own writing, just so that I wouldn't forget what I wanted to say. My name is Sandra Erickson, and I meant to address chair and council members. Sorry. My name is Sandra Erickson. I'm a building owner. I own the Allen Building and a resident of Lower Town for about the past 20 years. Our building is directly across from CHS Field, and it's within approximately 3 blocks of the Savoy location. I'd like to echo what Mr. Brooks has said. We object to the approval of the $28 million spending plan that includes money to nonprofits for the homeless. My understanding is that the hearing today does not involve the specific transfer of the $1.4 million to the listening house. I want to respectfully implore the council to have a second public hearing so that our neighborhood can be heard before you allocate the $1.4 million to listening house at the Savoy location. Just because I'm speaking today does not mean that I am waiving our right to be heard on that specific transfer of the $1.4 million. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be sure to sign in. I think Mr. Brooks stole the clipboard. All right, anyone else here to testify today on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Tolbert moves to close the public hearing and approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearing is closed and the resolution is adopted. The legislative hearing consent agenda is before you now. Consent agenda items 30 through 47 are before you for your consideration.
We'll welcome Ms. Mormond up to the front with report on the legislative hearing consent agenda.
If items number 35 and 40 could be read into the record, please.
Item number 35, RLH SAO 22-47, the appeal of Joseph Dahlbeck to his summary abatement order and vehicle abatement order at 913 Johnson Parkway.
Ms. Mormond.
Council President Brenman, council members, this is an appeal of a summary abatement order and a vehicle abatement order at the property for several trucks and also a significant pile of scrap material, a photo of which can be pulled up on screen for you to be able to look at. The order for the cleanup was issued on September 9th with a deadline. Let me bring that up for you.
It's item 35.
Thank you.
Thank you for pulling up the photo as well. Sometimes it helps while you're discussing.
The original deadline was 10 days from the issuance of the order, so the order was issued September 9th and the deadline for the work to be done September 19th. The owner was asking for an additional extension. He was hopeful that to spring could be granted. I am making a recommendation that to October 11th be granted. This is the third time in 3 years that summary abatement orders have been issued for this property on exactly this kind of issue where we have excessive amounts of scrap material and other things. Extensions have been granted in the past for similar cleanups. So this is not a case where the owner or the owner's family is unaware of what the expectations are for maintenance of the property. Again, orders were issued and appealed in 2020, 2021, and now in 2022. Hence my recommendation being relatively short. If the work is not done by that deadline, then the City Council would make that finding and authorize the Department of Safety and Inspections to execute a cleanup of the property. And I believe Mr. Joseph Dahlbeck, the owner, is on the line to testify.
All right, thank you so much. Are there questions for Ms. Mormon before we go to public hearing? Ms. Yang?
One question I have is, in the past, when extensions were given, did the resident eventually clean up what was in their property, or was it the city that had to do the cleanup in the end?
I believe that the city, on at least one occasion, did have to do at least a partial cleanup, like finishing the job, because it was only halfway done, and I can check to see. But we have had assessments go through for the cost of cleanup on the property, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Mormond? Okay. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Ms. Tripp, there's no one in the chamber, so it's you.
Thank you, Council President Brimmoen and Council. We do have Mr. Dahlback on the line. Mr. Dahlback, can I have you press *6 to unmute to begin your testimony?
Mr. Dahlbeck, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
Mr. Dahlback, can I have you press *6 to unmute yourself to begin your testimony, please?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Welcome.
Hi.
Mr. Dahlbeck, if you would like to share your perspective, you have the timer is on, and you can go ahead with your testimony.
Okay, I need more time than I thought I could have.
Okay, you're saying you need more time than the recommendation of October 11th?
Yes, because my heart's bothering me. I'm trying my best, yes.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add to your testimony?
I want if that's okay.
Okay, well, we will discuss that, but is there anything you'd like to add to your testimony before we close the public hearing?
Yeah, I'd like to, I don't want to have to pay for it.
Yep. Okay. If you do the work yourself, you don't have to pay for it. If you don't do the work, the city does the work, and then you get billed. This is true.
I want that. I want to
Okay.
get it done.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your testimony. Ms. Yang would close the public hearing. Yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails. Ms. Yang.
Thank you. Thank you to the resident for coming to testify. I understand that they would like more time. The deadline was already on the 19th, so we're already like a week past the deadline. But I think that like nearly 2 weeks of extra time to do the cleanup is, should be a decent amount of time. And given in the past that extensions were given to, I don't feel that I would want to wait too long, especially with the colder season coming too. So I feel good about supporting the recommendation from our legislative hearing officer.
Great. So Ms. Yang moves the recommendation of the legislative hearing officer. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item number 40, RLH RR 22-39 is before you now. Second making finding on the appealed substantial abatement ordered for 575 Park Street in Council File RLH RR 21-71.
Ms. Marmond.
Council President Brenmoen, this is a case that's been in front of you several times in the past month, and we are at a point where we are past 95% done, but still waiting on the plumbing to be completed. The contractor has indicated to the owner, Mr. Vigiano, that the permit was finalized. What I was able to ascertain from the building official was that the rough-in inspection was approved. What that means is we don't have the work completely done and buttoned up. The City Council, because the deadlines have been missed, did already forfeit half of the performance deposit. and the other half of it is pending today for non-completion. Because the building official is confirming for me with his inspector the status, I would ask for a 1-week layover on this, but I believe as long as Mr. Vigiano is here, he can explain the situation he's having with his contractors.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Mormond? All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak to this item? Sure, you heard us mention before, but if you could start by introducing yourself, letting us know where you live, and then you have actually 5 minutes on the timer to share your perspective. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Frank Vigiano. I'm the owner of 575 and 595 Park, and a former resident of Capitol Heights and the East Side on 3rd Street, and also Midway. I currently live in Montemita, Minnesota, 86 Spruce Street. We've been working on this project through the COVID period and had a lot of challenges, particularly with getting contractors to finish their work on time. And I've been on the phone every day with the contractor and the subcontractors trying to make sure everything gets done. I would appreciate if the council would consider waiving the penalties of $2,500 or $5,000, whatever the case was. I'm just an average guy with 3 tuitions to pay for kids in college and graduate school, so I appreciate that consideration. But we've worked very hard to update these properties. Well, one property was built in the 1870s, moved to Mendota Heights to a farm, and then moved back, so there was a lot of challenges on that one. The second property was actually moved from construction for 94 back in the last century. And so, of course, there were challenges there, too. Things that we didn't expect when we opened up walls and that kind of thing. So it was a little more complicated than we originally thought. But we've spent over $200,000 on the project, and we're very, very close to completion on 575 Park. And I'd appreciate your consideration. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. And I just have one quick question. You own these 2 properties on Park Street, the ones that we've had several times in the last few meetings. Are these the only properties you own in St. Paul?
No, I own 6 properties in St. Paul.
Okay.
I own 629 Park, 581 Park, and I used to live in 2 of them when I was single. And I own 125 Como, which is around the block. And I rehabbed that a few years ago, and we spent about $65,000 when we rehabbed that one. And I own 568 Lexington Parkway North, which is a 5-unit building. So I'm committed to the city and the community. I lived here for over a decade. I worked here for over 2 decades. And if you'd consider my request,
I appreciate that. I was just trying to understand. You said you're just a guy living in Montemita. I try and pay tuition, and I just want to be clear. You own 6 properties in St.
Yes,
Paul.
and I work. I've had back surgery recently, so I'm kind of limited on what I can do. I used to do most of all my work, but until I had the surgery. But I'm trying to recover and get back to normal.
Okay, thank you. That was my question. Does anyone else have a question before we close the public hearing? So Mr. Ballinger would move to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
Thank you.
Mr. Ballinger.
Well, I would like to continue the public hearing or keep it open for 2 weeks until October 12th. If he reaches code compliance by noon on the 12th, I'd consider giving back the $2,500 performance deposit.
Okay, to clarify, do we need to keep the public hearing open, or can we just lay the matter over to October 12th, noon?
I think it would be, and the city attorney could confirm this, if there is a question of losing additional performance deposit, that it would be wise to keep the public hearing open
Okay. Okay, so the motion from Mr. Ballinger is to hold open the public hearing through
For 2 weeks until October 12th.
noon.
And if you can reach compliance by noon on the 12th, I'd consider giving back the 2,500 performance deposit.
All right, so there's a little bit of time, not much. So time is of the essence. There's a motion from Mr. Ballinger. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
The resolution is, the public hearing is laid, the public hearing is continued, and the resolution is laid over until October 12th.
Is there anything
Council
else?
President Brenmo, and I'm not aware of anyone else here to testify on a legislative hearing item. There may be.
All right. Right, at this time, we will hear items 30 through 47, minus 35 and 40, which have had separate public hearings. Is there anyone here to speak to an item between 30 and 47? Seeing none, Ms. Prince moves to close the public hearings and approve as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion prevails.
7 in favor, none opposed. The public hearings are closed, and the consent agenda is adopted as amended.
Before we adjourn today, I know that there are thoughts, news from the ward, things to report, and so I will look to my colleagues if people have items to share before we adjourn. Ms. Jalali, then Ms. Yang.
All right. I would like to share two things. The first is Chromosome Mural Festival is back again and is installing and painting another round of murals. This is an amazing public art and placemaking event that happens in the Creative Enterprise Zone in the Raymond University neighborhood, right off of the light rail. Local buildings donate their walls to local artists who then paint murals that depict the full scope of our community and our Minnesota family story. So Chromosome starts again, I believe it starts Friday evening about 5 and wraps up with a panel Saturday night at Can Wonderland, and there'll be art going on all throughout the area. So please come back out and support. This is an event that is funded with Cultural Star funds as well, so there's City of St. Paul support behind it, and lots of wonderful public art to see. The other thing I wanted to uplift is there's a community event that is happening, I believe it's October 1st through 2nd, also this weekend. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong dates. So every year, the local Iranian community organizes the Twin Cities Iran Culture Festival. It's historically been a time for the community to come together and share Persian arts and culture. This is important to me on a personal level as an Iranian American, and also because of the very distressing news of that has captured worldwide attention of protests in Iran over the last couple dozen days following the killing of a young woman by the government for supposedly violating the mandatory hijab law. And I just been getting lots of questions from community members what they can do to support. And I think one way that you could support the local community is to go to the Twin Cities Iran Culture Festival and just experience the art and storytelling that will be there that certainly talks about the history of the Iranian people fighting for their rights. So that is Saturday and Sunday. Just look up Twin Cities Iran Culture Festival, but I wanted to acknowledge that too as a community member of the Iranian American community myself. So those are some local events coming up.
Thank you. Ms. Yang.
Thanks. I shared a bit about this last Wednesday already, but I did want to just do another reminder that tomorrow is the unveiling of the Marnie Jean Memorial Library at Washington Tech Magnet School, and it's at 5 p.m. And the program starts at 5:30. And Marnie was a Ward 6 resident, a really phenomenal East Side leader. She was elected onto the St. Paul School Board and was our former St. Paul School Board chair. She passed away 2 years ago from COVID. And, just really happy that we're able to do this to remember Marnie by. And I know it's really meaningful for the children and students who she really, really loved. And it was such a huge mission for her to continue fighting for them. And that's why she ran for office. So hope to see you all there tomorrow. I do want to just make a quick comment and say thank you to the council here for unanimously passing the back from the brink resolution, which was brought forward to us by Karen Stevenson, a really amazing East Side leader, a social justice activist in Ward 7, and also Veterans for Peace, which is a global organization that works to make sure that the public knows about the traumas and how expensive wars are, and they work to make sure that we bring peace to our communities, both here and internationally. It's a really meaningful resolution to me. Like my family sponsors, the ones who sponsor my parents to the U.S. here, they are a part of the movement to fight against nuclear war. And Tom Morgan in particular, what was really interesting is that a few weeks ago, I got to see them. They came to visit us from Duluth. They live in Duluth, and he told me that he was actually working on getting the Duluth City Council to pass this too. And he challenged me, "Hey, Nelsie, let's see if the Duluth City Council is going to pass this first, or the St. Paul City Council." And I'm really happy to tell him that the St. Paul City Council passed it first, so got bragging rights for us. But it's to me, it's really meaningful because it shows me how interconnected we all are, no matter where we live, no matter what country we're in. We are all impacted by war. And all of us, have a history where we have lost people, where we have experienced genocide, or have lived through trauma, or continue to have generational trauma from war. And so, for me, being a Hmong person, that's something very personal to me. And I'm, really thankful to everyone for the support here. I'm really glad that we can go back to the organizers and to the organization and share about their support for this. And so to me, I also remember another one of our family sponsors, Donna Howard, who just recently passed away. And I was in Duluth this past weekend for her funeral, and she was someone who was always at the front lines of fighting against nuclear war. And so I, to me, I pay tribute to her and her legacy by being a part of this. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Any other comments, Ms. Prince?
Yes. Thank you, Council President Brenmon. And I want to share with Councilmember Yang our appreciation for the Council's action on the prevention of nuclear war, the Back from the Brink resolution. Yesterday, some of us, Councilmember Ballinger and I, had the honor of meeting with a delegation from Cuba. And we had passed a resolution last week welcoming them to St. Paul. We had also passed a resolution in 2019 opposed to the embargo that had been established by the U.S. government. And the ambassador thanked us and said, when you can't change policies at the national level, it's so meaningful for cities to step up, cities where people live, to step up and say, this is an important value for us. And so I'm really delighted that we were able to do this. And I just want to read a few words from Ann Frisch, who originally reached out to me about this about a year ago, from the grassroots movement called Back from the Brink, bringing communities together to abolish nuclear weapons. And Ann wrote, "Cities are the place that people look to for security. Eliminating nuclear weapons is part of our mutually assured survival. The St. Paul City Council is now on record as asking the U.S. government to move abolition of nuclear weapons as an urgent priority. Whether by intent of any of the 9 nuclear weapons countries or by accident or miscalculation, even a small number launched will end civilization as we know it. Soot circling the planet for decades means Earth temperatures will drop below the point of growing crops. The unlucky survivors would face starvation and radioactivity everywhere. It is not the scenario that must be. We have dismantled large numbers of nuclear weapons in solidarity with other countries. Today, the St. Paul City Council has taken a stand for our survival. We must eliminate all nuclear weapons everywhere." I want to thank Ann for that. And I also want to point out one very significant number that appears in our resolution, and it is that the people of St. Paul are spending $65 million annually to maintain, to go to the national government to maintain our share of the nuclear defense system. So it is something that is pretty personal to all of us when we think about how much housing we could build if we were able to redirect that money. So again, thanks to the council for this action today.
Any other news from the wards? Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. This is a week and a half in advance, but I won't be able to be at our meeting next week, so I want to give people plenty of notice. Opus and Olives, a benefit with friends, which I love that tagline, is coming up on Sunday, October 9th. The cocktail reception is at 5, dinner and author presentations at 6:15. It's at the River Center. The author lineup is just incredible. I can't even read all of them because they're just too much to say, so check it out for yourself. But this is a way to support Friends of the St. Paul Public Library and their work to support our libraries and their patrons. So hope people can come.
Thank you. Mr. Hilbert.
I have two. One, Lunds is opening at Highland Bridge tomorrow. That's a pretty exciting thing. Everyone is welcome to go. And then second, the marathon is Sunday. So as I was told, it's a fun event where people get the opportunity to run away from Minneapolis and into St. Paul. So, but also plan accordingly, folks, because I know there's a lot of frustration sometimes during the event, but it is such a beautiful marathon, and we're lucky to have it right here in our city. So go cheer the people who can run 26.2 miles on.
I would like to share a personal mistake I made watching that marathon. I was at Hamlin, and I said, the first person I know who goes past that I recognize, I'm going to run with them to Lexington. But they were like running an 8, and I just can't do that. And so they ran the whole marathon, and they were probably fine. I blew out every leg muscle I had, but I did it. So if you're going to make a bet like that, make it after a certain pace number, because it's not, the results are bad.
Or wear rollerblades.
I also want to acknowledge, I appreciate everybody who's in the chambers, but we noticed some students come in, and I want to acknowledge you and invite you if you would like. I'm not going to put you too on the spot, but if you'd like to just come up and let us know, what the heck are you doing here? Maybe tell us who you are, what you're doing here, and yeah, come on up to the front.
It's my former neighbor, Josie.
Where?
It will help prove you're a teacher.
Yeah, we're going to provide absolute evidence that you came to City Council. If you could just start out by just introducing yourself, let us know roughly where you live, tell us what you're doing here, and then we always what's your favorite place to hang out or eat out in St. Paul?
I'm Alex. I live in Ramsey, or no, it's...
These were not meant to stump you, these questions.
I go to Cretin-Derham Hall. I live 5 minutes away maybe, and we're here for U.S. government class. We have to either attend a city council meeting or a metropolitan council or any of the meetings, and then do a report about it.
You dodged a bullet. Last week we were here for hours. This week it's a quickie, so welcome. Thank you for being here. Did you tell us your favorite place to hang out or eat out?
I don't know. I actually do like Highland. I think you were talking about Lunds. That's opening pretty soon. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's a cool place. All right.
All right. Hi, I'm Josie Nye. Used to be my neighbor. He moved, so I live by St. Kate's. And I don't know I like to hang out in the village, I guess. Highland Village.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm Leah Stoltz. I'm actually from Minneapolis, but I go to Cretin-Derham. We all go to Cretin-Derham Hall. We're all seniors. But I hang out in St. Paul a lot because all my friends live there. I like St. Kate's. I like to go to St. Kate's and the village, and I'm excited about the new buildings and stuff over there.
Cool.
I'm Nora. I go to CDH too. I live in St. Paul, right by SPA and that area. And then my favorite place to hang out, it was mentioned, Can Wonderland. I love going there. So
cool. Well, thanks for being here today. It's great to have young people in the audience. We invite you anytime you want to come. If you take us up on that, we'll be shocked, but you're welcome to. But when we see you in the audience, we want to make sure that we acknowledge you and bring you up here because we know someday you'll be the people that are sitting at this table. So it's great to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Miss Prince.
And the meeting is being televised, so you will have proof of your engagement here.
Yeah, can go back and watch it on video later. It was.
Record it, put it in your report.
Yep. Yeah.
We did give a little wave. We didn't know if we were on TV, so we.
You are now. Thank you very much for coming up. Thanks for getting put on the spot. We appreciate you. All right. I think on that hopeful note, we have nothing else to come before us, so we will be adjourned.